this and just one homework exercise are really the only things I did. Hello and welcome to my channel. Thank you for joining me in this Evolve student vlog, a place where I kind of just rant and talk about my journey with the Evolve art program. I appreciate you lending an ear while you art, go about your day, or maybe are just curious about the program. So let's get started. Confession time. I went almost an entire week without painting and really only worked on finishing this Molina painting that I had ignored for 2 years, and you can watch the video for a glimpse of that process done with acrylics and water-soluble oils on this video. So, why did I stop painting? I think it started because I was kind of on a roll. I was getting homework after homework done, and I was really pushing myself and going through these paintings, but I didn't reach my goal that I set in the beginning, which was to finish block 1 before March started. And I guess that really got to me. It kind of got me down along with other factors. I'm currently now on homework 17 out of 20. I've slowed down now. But I don't want to talk about it right now. I don't want to talk about what I'm doing right now, like the present right now. I want to talk about what was going on then, like when I recorded these videos. At first, I was really happy that I was halfway through and halfway done. And by the time I did get to March, I think I was on homework 14 or exercise 14, and that was good. I was happy about it, but I wasn't super happy. So I did end up taking a mini break, which those are really good. It's sometimes good to give your brain a minute to refresh yourself and do other things, put some exercises with stuff that you've already learned. But the point being was that I didn't paint pretty much at all during that week. I started to get discouraged, and one of the main reasons why I started to get discouraged was because the main reason that I joined this Evolve program was because of the feedback. To me, that was a huge factor because, again, I am a self-taught artist, and instead of trying to hire a mentor or take these super expensive classes or enroll in actual art school, I thought that this would be awesome because you have these people who are amazing artists who are accomplished, and they would give you feedback on what you're doing. But the feedbacks began to feel extremely generic. I was kind of getting the same comments in every homework assignment. The feedback they were giving me, a lot of it was just the same stuff, the same positivity things, and I felt like they weren't giving me any real solid tips. They would point out what I might need to work on, but that was pretty much it. And when they compliment your painting, they won't compliment kind of a specific part, but it'll be a really generic response sometimes. And I'm trying to keep on the positive side because I know that I'm only going through the fundamentals right now. So there's only so much that the instructors can say to me. I'm sure that they're following a very strict guideline on what they can and cannot comment, because we the students have to follow a very strict guideline on what we can and cannot paint. So after really putting my mind on it, I thought, well, there are only X amount of comments that they can really give me because we're only working on X amount of things. So I'm sure, or at least I'm hoping, I'm very hopeful that once I move through these blocks, maybe the feedbacks will become more personalized and feel more real, I guess, rather than just a generic response on what you can do better and what you're already doing okay. Or maybe I'm just asking for too much. I don't know, but this is how I began to feel, and I began to feel a little bit discouraged by it. I felt like, okay, you're telling me what I'm doing good, and you're telling me what I should improve on, but it doesn't feel like you're giving me much on how I can improve those things, except for maybe 1 or 2 feedbacks where they explained that I should be using a different kind of brush, and that was very helpful, and I really did appreciate that. I need to write down I guess what I mean about that, but that's why I started to get a little bit discouraged by it. But then on February 15th, I had my first one-on-one. I think it was February 15th. I had my first one-on-one with Piper, the head instructor, and that made a huge difference in my gradients. I started to feel better as well about the instructors and the feedback. I felt like because I was able to video chat her, it was a lot more personable. I was able to ask the questions that I had. And also the other thing that's a little bit confusing that I'm not too sure if maybe I just don't know what I'm doing, on the actual homework tab, they say if you have any questions to respond, but I don't see like a reply button or anything. I don't know if it's just because I'm on my iPad when I'm on the website, but there's no way to reply to the instructor that's giving me the feedback through my tablet. So I guess I gotta try to open up a laptop and see if it's any different. I'm sorry if you can hear my blinds moving. It's a really windy night tonight. But I guess I have to open up a laptop and see if maybe there's a different option if I log in through like an actual internet browser. But yeah, there's no way to reply to an instructor. So I don't know. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt because, again, we're learning X, Y, and Z. So they can only comment on X, Y, and Z. They're not really going to give me a whole bunch to work on. I'm sure they have very strict things on what they can and cannot comment on. But anyways, even though she may not realize this, she filled me up with a lot of faith once more in the program. I started to feel a lot better. I also watched a previous class recording that explained gradients, and I started to feel a lot more comfortable with gradients. I will admit, here where I was working on this cone, I was really happy with how my little cone came out. I was really happy about it. Watching back now, obviously there's things that I can change, but this is when I started to feel like, okay, maybe I can have a better grip on these things. I also feel like I got better at mixing the medium, like the linseed oil, with the paints and keeping it in one controlled space. Before, I would have a really hard time controlling where I would mix the paint. Like, it would eventually just spread out everywhere. But one of the things when I took his class in person, one of the things that he really stressed on is to keep the mixing contained to one area. Doing this makes it helpful when you start adding more colors to your palette, because right now I'm only working on half of the size of my palette, which is really cool because there's a lot of space for a lot more colors, so I can see why it's important to do that. I feel like I'm getting a lot better at controlling it. I feel like I have a better understanding of how oils should feel because he gives us a specific amount of drops to use with a specific amount of oil. And since I've been practicing mixing those two factors together, I now have a good understanding of what the paint consistency should be. And I also have a good understanding of how the oil density should be on the canvas. Now, this is if I'm doing something that's going to work with realism. Obviously, if I want to do something more on the impressionist side, then the density wouldn't be the same. There would be a lot more, brushwork or obvious brushwork. But it's really cool learning how to control the paint on the canvas and then being able to layer another color on top of it without losing its value or contaminating its, like, you can put it on top and it won't mush together. I can see how it won't make your colors muddy if you control the density of your paint on the canvas. And I think that's something really cool that I now understand. And it's pretty awesome to say that I can understand that. And I start to feel bad that I kind of second guessed the program, but I feel newly motivated. Well, at least at that point, I felt newly motivated and I was on a winning streak, at least in my head. I felt really good. And then I made such a newbie mistake. In one of my paintings, and I'm going to mention it later on, I think it was the apple on top of a can. I don't remember exactly. I'll have a little clip of me actually talking about it in here somewhere. But I don't know if I was sleepy or whatever, but I ended up copying my transfer on the wrong side of the canvas. And I didn't notice that even when I started painting. And then when I did start painting, I assumed that either I didn't mix the right amount of oils because the paint was really dragging on the canvas. It did not want to move at all. Like, it did not want to budge. It was really tough to work with. It was really tough to fill in areas, and it was because I had actually painted on the wrong side of the canvas. It was a very well lesson learned, and I think overall what really stuck out to me that week is how important practice is, but not practice in the sense of painting daily, but practice in the sense of practicing like a specific thing over and over again until it finally starts to click. I've had this thing where I'll practice something without really understanding what I'm practicing until I kind of get bored, and then I move on to the next thing, and then I would revisit it again. It's not good. You really have to have an understanding of what it is that you're practicing, because when we don't know what we're doing wrong, it takes us twice as long to be able to realize what it is that we're doing wrong. So it feels really good to understand what it is that I'm doing and what it is that I'm actually practicing, and understanding what the purpose is. So I hate the way this came out. Like really bad, really bad. I thought, did I mix my paint wrong? Did I not use enough paint? Like, what is the deal? Maybe I didn't use enough oil. Like, why is it so rough? Why is it not smooth? Do you want to know why? I did my transfer to the wrong side of the canvas. A lesson learned indeed. I think this was the last paper that was in my canvas pad. I don't know how I mixed it up. I don't know how I maybe turned it around and transferred it on the wrong side, but that's definitely why this painted so weird. I am like 100% convinced that is what made the paint come out so odd. And that just goes to show you that what you're painting on matters. Surface matters. It's also super important, especially with that mistake that I made, to pay attention. Pay attention to even the slightest smaller steps, because that one tiny accident, if I had paid closer attention, it would have saved me this painting. It would have saved me this frustration and the trouble and thinking that I'm doing something wrong or blaming the paint. And I really didn't do a good job at taking notes after each exercise. So I'm sure there's a lot more that I could talk about that I'm missing. A lot more questions that I have that I should be writing down. I'm really going to try not to repeat the mistakes. One thing this program has really taught me is patience and how to not rush or how to not be lazy. In these few exercises and these homeworks, I've put so much thought into each step that goes into the painting, way more than I do in my normal paintings. I feel like this program is training me to be more diligent in my process. Before, when I was done with a palette, as bad as this sounds, you can judge me if you want, sometimes I just wouldn't even clean my palette. I would just leave it until the next time that I want to use it. I wouldn't put away my materials right away. Sometimes I would just let them sit out, but I'm putting so much more thought into like the future me experience. For example, when I'm done with the paint, I will just get my next palette ready, not in terms of mixing colors, but just cleaning the palette. There's a nice like calming down feeling when you do these things too. Just clearing off my palette, cleaning my brushes, setting up my painting for the next painting. Like that feels nice. It's soothing, it's therapeutic. And before, I would find it really annoying. I would find it kind of like a hassle. And then when I come back to paint again, then I would be annoyed because I can't go straight into painting. I would have to clean everything up from the last time and then start painting. But now I can go straight into laying out my colors and starting a painting because past me cleaned up after herself. And again, you can judge me if you want, but it's the little things. It's the little things like that I'm thankful for in this program. And thank you so much for lending me your ear. I know I tend to ramble. I don't know if I repeated things too many times. I'm kind of just going without a script. I did little bullet points and I went from there. But yeah, thank you for joining me. Oh, I have a little giveaway going on because I reached 600 subscribers. You can go check out this video if you would like to join the giveaway. It's really small. It's nothing too big, but 600 subscribers I think is awesome and I'm really thankful for it. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me and I hope to see you next time. Bye.